The Woman on the Sidewalk. New York City, the land of silver skyscrapers and invisible pain. Every day, thousands rush past one another, chasing success, chasing comfort, but rarely stopping to look. It was a cold autumn morning when Ethan Cole, one of the youngest billionaires on Wall Street, stepped out of his black Maybach, adjusting his tailored coat as the city wind brushed against his face. He was 35, powerful, and feared in every corporate circle. His photo graced magazines under headlines like "The Genius Who Built an Empire." But behind those sharp blue eyes was a man who hadn't spoken to his mother in years. They drifted apart after his father's death. He'd buried himself in work, believing money could fill every silence in his life. That morning he was heading to a board meeting. Investors, cameras, prestige, the usual. But fate had a way of rewriting plans when you least expect it. A few blocks away, an elderly woman sat on the sidewalk, her hands trembling as she tried to steady a paper cup in front of her. Her gray hair was tucked under a worn scarf. Beside her, a young homeless girl, maybe 18 or 19, wrapped a thin blanket around them both, shielding the old woman from the cold. Passers-by didn't notice. Some looked away. Others tossed a few coins without slowing down. To everyone else, it was just another scene in the city. An old lady and a homeless girl, leaning on each other for warmth. But destiny had placed them there for a reason. When Ethan's car stopped at the red light, his driver gestured nervously. "Sir, there's traffic up ahead. Might take a few minutes." Ethan glanced out the tinted window, impatient. He hated delays. But something caught his eye, the way the girl was gently brushing snowflakes from the old woman's hair, whispering to her like a daughter would to her mother. Something about that gesture, that tenderness, made him look closer. And that's when his world froze. Through the drizzle and blur of passing cars, Ethan's eyes widened in disbelief. That face, that fragile, familiar face leaning against the young girl's shoulder. It couldn't be. It was his mother. For a moment, Ethan couldn't breathe. He blinked, convinced he was hallucinating. His mother, Margaret Cole, was supposed to be living comfortably in her suburban home, the one he'd bought her years ago. "Stop the car!" he shouted. The driver jerked the wheel, pulling over by the curb. Ethan stepped out into the drizzle, his polished shoes splashing in the puddles as he rushed toward the sidewalk. Every step felt heavier than the last. The closer he got, the more real it became. The trembling hands, the faint smile, the way her eyes were closed like she hadn't slept in days. "Ethan! Ethan!" The homeless girl turned first, startled. She had messy brown hair and tired green eyes, the kind that had seen too much pain for her age. She immediately pulled the old woman closer, protective. "Sir, please, she's just resting. She's cold." Ethan's throat tightened. I know. That's my mother." The girl's eyes widened in disbelief. Your mother?" The girl's confusion was genuine. She had no idea who the man was. This tall stranger in an expensive coat, staring at them like he'd seen a ghost. Ethan dropped to his knees beside them, ignoring the wet pavement. His mother stirred slightly, her lips trembling. Ethan? Ethan?" Her voice was soft, broken, like a song he hadn't heard in years. "Mom, what are you doing here? Where have you been?" Tears filled her eyes, but before she could answer, the young girl spoke. "She collapsed near the train station last night. I couldn't just leave her there. We've been here since morning, trying to stay warm." In that moment, Ethan saw something in the girl's face. the kind of raw kindness money couldn't buy. While he'd been chasing billions, a homeless girl had shown his mother more care than he had in years. He swallowed hard, guilt washing over him like a tidal wave. "Come with me," he said. "Both of you, now." But the girl shook her head. "I can't, sir. I'm fine." "No," he said firmly. "You saved her life. You're coming too." As the car pulled away, Ethan didn't look back. For the first time in years, his heart felt something other than ambition. It felt alive. He didn't know who the homeless girl was or why his mother had ended up on the streets, but he was about to find out. And what he'd learn would change his life forever. The truth inside the mansion. The black Maybach glided through the iron gates of Ethan Cole's mansion, a vast estate of glass and marble that screamed success but echoed emptiness. Inside, everything gleamed. The polished floors reflected chandeliers, but not warmth. The maids froze when they saw Ethan step in, soaked, his expensive coat draped around an elderly woman and a shivering homeless girl. "Get Dr. Harris, now!" Ethan ordered. "Now!" Within minutes, his private doctor arrived, a man accustomed to luxury clients, not fragile women from the street. He examined Margaret Cole carefully, while Ethan stood by, restless, his mind racing. "Dr. Harris. She's dehydrated, weak, but she'll recover. She just needs rest, warmth, and proper meals." Ethan nodded, exhaling with relief. "Thank you." The girl, still standing near the doorway, looked out of place, her clothes damp, her hands gripping the strap of her worn-out backpack. She tried to back away quietly. Ethan turned toward her. "Wait." She froze. "You haven't even told me your name." "Lily. Lily Harper." He gestured toward the couch. "Sit down, Lily." She hesitated. "I shouldn't. This place is too nice for someone like me." Ethan's voice softened, the edge fading. "You saved my mother. That makes you family here." Narrator. For the first time in years, the mansion felt human. A billionaire, his long-lost mother, and a homeless girl, 3 lives stitched together by fate. Margaret stirred in her bed, her breathing steadier now. Ethan sat beside her, watching her fragile hands rest atop the blanket. Ethan, quietly, "Mom, why didn't you call me? I thought you were safe. I thought—" She smiled weakly. "You thought money could fix everything, Ethan. You always did." He swallowed hard. "I sent money every month. The caretaker—" "She left years ago, and you never visited." Her voice trembled, but there was no anger, only sadness. "I didn't want to be a burden. After your father died, I moved closer to the city to feel near him again. But rent got high, and I made mistakes. I ended up with nothing." Ethan's eyes filled with guilt. "You could have called me." "I tried," she whispered, "but you changed your number. I called your office once. The assistant said you were too busy." Silence fills the room, the sound of fire crackling in the background. Narrator, gentle. Those words cut deeper than any deal Ethan had ever lost. He'd built skyscrapers, bought companies, made millions, yet somehow he'd lost the one person who mattered most. Cut downstairs. Lily sitting alone by the fireplace, sipping warm tea a maid had given her. She looked around at the mansion, the art, the glass, the quiet. It was beautiful, but cold. Margaret's faint laughter upstairs drifted down, followed by Ethan's soft voice. Lily smiled sadly. Just then Ethan came down, his expression tired but thoughtful. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for helping her." Lily shook her head. "You don't have to thank me. She helped me, too." Ethan frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Lily hesitated, looking into the fire. "When I found her by the train station, I was ready to give up. I hadn't eaten in 2 days, but she smiled at me, even though she was the one freezing. She held my hand and told me, 'Kindness always comes around.'" Camel-lender on Ethan's face, realization dawning. "She said that?" he whispered. Lily nodded. "I thought she was crazy, but then I stayed with her. I couldn't leave her alone. And now, here we are." Tears fill his eyes. What have I done? He rushes out of the building, determination replacing despair. Cut to a rainy night, city streets glistening under streetlights. Ethan drives through downtown, searching. He checks every shelter, every bench, every corner. Finally, at a small church soup kitchen, he spots her, Lily, serving food to a line of homeless people. Her hair is damp, her clothes simple, but her eyes still gentle, still kind. He steps out of the car, rain soaking through his coat. "Lily!" he calls. She turns, startled. Their eyes meet. For a moment, neither speaks. The world feels still. Then Ethan walks toward her slowly. "I'm sorry," he says, his voice breaking. "I should have believed you." Lily looks down. "It doesn't matter, Ethan. The world's never believed people like me." He shakes his head. "It matters to me. You saved my mother. You saved me. I let fear ruin that." She looks at him, tears mixing with rain. "Why are you here?" He takes her hands gently. "Because I realized something. The truth about your past doesn't define who you are. Your heart does. And yours is the purest I've ever seen." Narrator, hopeful tone. Sometimes it takes losing everything to see what truly matters. Under the cold rain, 2 broken souls stood together, one who had everything but felt empty, and one who had nothing but gave everything she had. And in that moment, Ethan didn't see a homeless girl or a scandal. He saw the person who reminded him what love, forgiveness, and family really meant. Narrator, soft. But while they found forgiveness that night, the battle with the world wasn't over yet, because the man who exposed Lily, Victor Hale, was about to learn that compassion is more powerful than greed.
The light returns. A week had passed since that rainy night outside the church. For the first time in years, Ethan Cole wasn't thinking about profit, stocks, or headlines. He was thinking about truth. He had spent his life building walls around his heart, his home, his name. And now he wanted to break every single one of them. That morning, as dawn stretched across Manhattan, Ethan looked out his window and made a decision. It was time to speak. Not as a billionaire, not as a CEO, but as a man who had finally learned what compassion meant. Cut to downtown conference center. Press cameras flash, reporters crowd. Ethan walks up to the podium. The crowd murmurs, some expecting denial, others expecting excuses. Instead, he stands silently for a moment, taking a deep breath. You've all heard stories about a girl named Lily Harper Johnson. You've seen the headlines, the mugshot, the gossip. But what you haven't seen is the truth. When I met Lily, she was on the street, hungry, cold, and still giving everything she had to help a stranger, my mother. That night, I saw more humanity in her than in any boardroom I've ever been in. He pauses, the crowd silent. Yes, she was arrested when she was 16 for stealing food. You know what that tells me? Not that she's a criminal, but that she was hungry, that she had no one to turn to, and that our society failed her long before she ever broke the law. Soft orchestral strings rise. Emotion builds. Ethan, voice breaking slightly. I failed her too, and I failed my own mother by believing that money could replace love. So today, I want to do something different. He turns toward the screen behind him. It lights up with the new logo. The Lily Project, Homes for Hope. This foundation will provide housing, education, and jobs for women like Lily, for anyone who's ever been forgotten, shamed, or left behind. Applause starts, slow at first, then rising. Ethan smiling faintly. And as for those questioning my reputation, you can take the company, take the money, take every title you want, but you'll never take my conscience again. Music swells, audience rises in applause. Cut to Victor Hale watching from his office, his face pale with shock. His assistant looks nervous. Sir, the public's responding positively. They're calling it the most powerful speech of the year. Victor glares at the screen. He turned his scandal into sainthood. The assistant hesitates. Maybe he just told the truth. Victor's jaw tightens, but in his eyes there's the faintest glimmer of shame. Cut to later, outside the event. Reporters swarm as Ethan steps down the marble stairs. Suddenly, a soft voice calls out, "Ethan." He turns. It's Lily, hesitant, holding her sketchbook against her chest. He smiles gently. "You came." "I almost didn't. I didn't want to cause more trouble." He shakes his head. "You didn't cause trouble. You reminded me what worth really means." They stand a moment in the breeze, quiet, tender. Ethan glances at her sketchbook. "Still drawing?" She nods. "Always. Helps me make sense of the world." "Can I see?" She hesitates, then opens it, revealing a new drawing. It's of Ethan, his mother, and Lily sitting together at the mansion dinner table, laughing. Underneath, written in careful handwriting, "Family isn't who you're born to. It's who stands with you when everyone else walks away." Ethan's eyes glisten. He closes the sketchbook gently. "I don't know if I deserve that," he says quietly. Lily smiles. "You didn't have to. You earned it." Cut to the Cole mansion, 1 month later. The once silent halls now buzz with life. Workers from the Lily Project move through the estate, packing supplies for new housing sites. Margaret watches from the porch, her hands clasped proudly. Lily stands beside her laughing as children from the shelter chase each other across the lawn. Ethan joins them, handing his mother a cup of tea. Margaret smiling. "You did it, son. You found your heart again." Ethan chuckles softly. "With a little help." He looks at Lily, who grins shyly. "Are you sure you're okay running the first center on your own?" "I've slept under bridges," she teases. "I think I can handle an office." They laugh. Narrator, gentle, closing tone. Sometimes life's harshest storms bring the clearest skies. Ethan had built a world of glass and gold, but it took a homeless girl to show him the value of a heartbeat, a smile, a second chance. And Lily, once invisible to the world, became the face of compassion that rebuilt it. Because, in the end, the richest people aren't the ones who own the most. They're the ones who give the most and love the deepest. Music swells, then fades to a single piano note. Fade out. The end.